So Shimano forces Hammerhead to remove Di2 integration from the Karoo 1 and the Karoo 2 cycling GPS computers. Not a clickbait title, this stuff writes itself, and according to the information I received today, Shimano are not looking very good with this call whatsoever. They're punching down on a smaller company for no justifiable reason. Alrighty, 3 AM this morning, I received an email titled, Update from Hammerhead, Di2 functionality. Now, without even opening the email, I got pretty excited. I thought Hammerhead had finally answered my calls of integrating further with Di2 on these head units, recording the information. At the moment, when you pair your Di2 system to these, none of that information is recorded. It's only displayed on the screen. But I was wrong. I was very wrong. What should have been a step forward in functionality has been a forced step back, and a big one at that. A quick overview of the functionality as it stands today on Karoo units. On screen here you have the Di2 sensor, and going into that I can see status connected. I have all the properties of that sensor, which is my Di2 shifting system, gear information, etc, etc. Manufacturer, Shimano, everything's playing well right now. And depending on the configuration you have on screen, you can show shift battery, which you can see there is at 20%. I'll also get a low battery warning, informing me that I do need to charge my Di2 battery, which is important for the new Di2 system, which doesn't have status lights on the junction box at the front of the bike. I have the shift mode, I'm in Synchro 1, I have shift count, and down the bottom there, just for fun, I have visual gear indication of which gear I'm in, which I do find quite handy out on the road. The Shimano hidden button or D-fly buttons also work. When you press those on the top of the hoods, you can shift screens and do other things as well. So there's a quick overview of the Di2 system integration that Hammerhead have implemented to date. So at the request of Shimano, that functionality you just saw then on the Karoo 2, which is the same on the Karoo 1, will be removed in the next update to these units on June 2nd. On to the official communication from Hammerhead on this one. After I opened the email up, this is what it contained. Shimano requests Hammerhead end support for Di2 Karoo 2 features. At the request of Shimano, effective with next Tuesday's software update on June 2nd, riders who utilise Di2 integration will lose access to a small subset of features. There's a bit of marketing jargon in that, but what they mean by a small set of features is every single feature that you get when pairing to the Di2 sensor disappearing. This update will remove the on-screen battery status, the shifter mode data, front and rear derailleur indications, Karoo screen control via the Di2 hood buttons from Shimano Di2 drivetrains. Important note, and this is important, all of the Karoo 2 functionality will continue to work for Shimano riders. This is a small subset of Di2 features, all of them, that Shimano has withdrawn permissions for until Hammerhead is able to forge a new agreement. The team remains hopeful in pursuit of a new path to provide more software features to Shimano riders in the years ahead. To be crystal clear, this is Shimano forcing the hand of Hammerhead to remove this functionality that users are using from their head units until a new agreement is forged. As you can imagine, I was on the emails pretty damn quick because I've just spent a few $1,000s on the new Ultegra Di2 and I'm a user of these head units, so I'm invested here. Anyhow, responses to my questions. I asked, can you confirm that the Shimano Di2 ant sensor will no longer pair to the Karoo 1 and Karoo 2 units post this update? The answer there was correct. Riders who utilize Di2 integration will lose access to these features as defined earlier in this video. Everything that you saw there is no longer going to work. Hammerhead also were very clear on the fact that you can still ride your bike, you can still get everything working with their head units. It's just that integration for gearing and everything else that I listed. I asked for some official quotes or statements from Shimano or from Hammerhead. They have nothing to share from Shimano. I've also reached out to Shimano. I have nothing official back just yet, though this video is being recorded at 3:30 in the afternoon. This video isn't being released until 11 PM. If there's any updates from Shimano, I'll insert them right here. Okay, so the official statements from Hammerhead, and this is where it does get a little juicy. The changes come at the request of Shimano. Shimano provided a license agreement whereby Hammerhead was granted permission along with the technical details enabling the connecting of the Hammerhead devices to the Di2 system. Now this is over ANT Private, not ANT Plus, so Shimano did need to provide the private keys for that to work. And this is pretty much the access they've revoked. Hammerhead offered to continue supporting Di users with full functionality, well, mostly functionality, they weren't saving the data, but you could connect to the unit, after the SRAM acquisition. Backstory, Hammerhead are now owned by SRAM. SRAM make group sets, they're a competitor of Shimano. Dun dun dun! Further on this, but ultimately Shimano identified SRAM as a competitor and the contract was terminated at Shimano's request. Hammerhead has reached out to Shimano and is open to resuming support for this functionality. Now, it's at about this point in the video I'd refer off to GP Sheepy on the sidelines there for a smart-ass comment, distancing myself from anything that he may say. But Sheepy, I've got this from here today. Shimano, what the f*** are you thinking? Why Hammerhead? Well, we do know why, because they're owned by SRAM. But are you going to pull this with Garmin? You're going to pull this with Wahoo? What about Brighton? What about Stages? I have reached out to most of those companies actually for comment on this, so stay tuned for that. As I said, I'm recording this one early. I'll add any information from those companies coming in right here. Okay, we're 1 hour away from the embargo lifting and this video going live. I've had one reply that's come from Brighton, where I asked, is this support of the Di2 sensor on their unit under any licensing arrangement with Shimano? The reply was yes, unlike SRAM ETAP/Capignolo EPS, which uses ANT Plus ESS, an open profile. The protocol of Shimano Di2 is proprietary. Since the protocol is proprietary, they do have to sign an agreement with Shimano to get the profile, which will include the private keys for the ANT private connection and all the other sensor details to connect to. I also asked, had there been any requests by Shimano for Brighton to remove support for the Di2 sensor? The same request they've submitted to Hammerhead, and the answer was no. They weren't aware of any requests at this point in time. Quick thanks to Brighton for getting back to me so fast on that one too. I will report in the comments any other replies from companies that I'm waiting on post this video going live. Anyhow, a completely foolish decision from Shimano to play the bully against Hammerhead and just inconvenience end users who may be big Shimano fans, me being one of them. Now, a call to action, rather than going straight to Shimano on this one, rather than going straight to Hammerhead, hit me up in the comments. What's your thoughts on this? Why is Shimano doing this? What benefit would they have for this? Are they bringing out their own head unit? God, I hope not, because the Pioneer stuff they've acquired was pretty junky, let's be honest. Do you think they'd pull this on Garmin? Not a chance. Garmin would slaughter them. Anyhow, that's today's news. Not a good one. Hopefully we'll be back with some good news. Thanks for watching.